You know, the librarian did seem to think I was a little deranged for picking up all four of these books at once in 2025.
Where the hell have you been, Loco?
I hate Edward, I hate Bella, and I hate Jacob. I'm like, girl, this guy is crazy. He literally ran faster than anything to save you, and you don't have any questions. Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Annie and I read fantasy books and talk about them on the internet for you all to enjoy. In this video, I'm going to be reading the entire Twilight series, only 10 years late, because I know virtually nothing about Twilight. I never watched the movies, I never read the books, and everything I do know about the series has been force fed to me against my will from my friends who either love Twilight or hate Twilight. So I thought it was time for me to form my own opinions for myself and read all the books and have just a good time with vampires and werewolves and all that good magic glory. But we're just going to get right into it and get started with book one, and I'll be back with an update once I've gotten a little ways in. Hello from my childhood bedroom. I am going to a bachelorette party today and my parents' house is on the way, so I stopped by, but I wanted to provide a Twilight update because I've gotten about 100 pages in and I have a lot of thoughts so far. The first thing I want to say is it is so interesting how Bella acts. I forgot how in the 2010s there was really such a strong culture of our female main protagonist had to be a not like other girls. I hate sports. I am different. I read. I'm interesting. And it is so funny to see that depicted in Bella. The other thing that I wanted to note as a strong point is I think the sense of place in Twilight is really strong so far. I do feel like we are getting all the good atmosphere of Forks, Washington, and as someone who's actually been to Forks, I do think that Stephanie Meyer is depicting it really well. And then I think that the story is very interesting so far. I've met both Edward and Jacob, who I know are like the male main characters. Jacob hasn't really done anything yet. He told Bella basically like the true story about the werewolves and vampires territory, but I don't think she really understood what he was talking about. But he hasn't done anything too interesting. But Edward is saying some stuff. I have the book open to read you some of my favorite Edward quotes thus far. She says, "In plain English, are we friends now?" "Friends," he mused. "Or not," I muttered. "Well, we can try, I suppose, but I'm warning you now that I'm not a good friend for you." And she basically is like, "You always say that." And he says, "If you're smart, you'll avoid me." And she's like, "If I'm not smart, then we can be friends then?" It's just so wild to me that he's like blatantly telling her, like, "You need to stay away from me." And she's still like, "You're so beautiful though, let's hang out." I'm like, girl, this guy is crazy. He literally ran faster than anything to save you, and you don't have any questions? And at one point he's like, "Can you like guess a theory?" And she's like, "Bit by a radioactive spider." Like, girl, if you literally think that he's magical, you need to get away. You need to get away. And he's just so wild. There's another good one that's so Bella says, "You're dangerous," I guessed, my pulse quickening as I intuitively realized the truth of my own words. He was dangerous. He'd been trying to tell me all along. "Yeah, he said we cannot be friends." And he looked at me with eyes full of emotions. It's like, what is going on? You are so strange. And it's so funny. I literally cannot imagine someone telling me, like, you need to stay away from me, and me being like, no, I'm gonna hang out with you. But even though he's acting crazy, it is like really kind of fun to read. It's just like bingeable and enjoyable. I feel like I don't always find that with books that were written recently. A lot of times there's a lot more filler, and this feels like we're getting straight to the point. We're 100 pages in. She's basically about to figure out he's a vampire. I think it's really fun. I'm going to read a little more today while I'm at my parents' house, and I'm going to try to read over the bachelorette party weekend, but who knows how much. Hello, I am back from my bachelorette party trip, and I'm happy to report that while reading there and then reading a bit more this morning, I was able to finish the first Twilight book, and I gotta say, I didn't love it. I have a lot of issues with the fact that it feels like Edward and Bella basically were able to do whatever they want and face no consequences. I get it, like, it's a love story, but there should have been consequences of a vampire human romance, and those consequences should have been from like Bella being scared or Edward like really feeling like he has to stay away, and I felt like that was really unrealistic. I know that it's vampires, so nothing's realistic, but that in particular felt very unrealistic. I also hate how she has no care or fear in the world of Edward, and Edward's just like, yay! And it's like, girl, you would be scared. You would be scared. Or you would at least have a big reaction. So I found that very, very frustrating. Moving on to New Moon. Hello, welcome to my bed. I simply do not have the mental capabilities of putting my tripod up. So I'm sitting on my bed, you're sitting on my bed, and we're just gonna talk about New Moon together. New Moon has turned me around on the Twilight franchise. I love New Moon. I love how dramatic everything is from the first minute. Literally, Bella in the first like pages is like, I'm older than Edward and he will never be my age. And she's like crashing out about it and wants to be a vampire. And then Bella gets hurt. Edward and his whole family, his whole gaggle of vampires, they all leave Forks. And now we're in like Bella Depression era. And I low key am loving it because I feel like this was the conflict we didn't get in book one that we needed that would have made book one so intriguing and so engaging. Instead, we just got the love story of Bella and Edward. And I get it, like that's part of it, but there needed to be some sort of barriers to their romance given that he's literally a vampire. That's all my thoughts, and I'm hopefully gonna get some reading done and provide more updates either today or tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see, but I'm definitely gonna do a lot of reading these next 2 days. Hello, it is update time for New Moon. I am here to report that I binge read and finished the whole book last night. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. I thought Jacob was a really compelling character in the whole like levity, teenage boy immatureness as a counterpart to Edward, who is so mature and so like wise beyond his 17 years because obviously he's immortal. And I really enjoyed that part of the book. I don't think that Jacob is a compelling love interest for Bella, but I do find him to be a compelling character. I also don't think Edward is a good love interest for Bella, so maybe Bella just needs to be alone. But I'm really looking forward to reading Eclipse. I feel really reinvigorated into the series, which I feel really surprised by. When I finished Twilight, I was dreading having to read New Moon. I was like, I made a mistake committing to do this. The librarian was right that I should be embarrassed. And then I finished New Moon and I was like, that was a great book. I feel like there were a couple plot holes, but it was just overall so much more interesting. There were so many twists and turns that were kind of strange, but at least there were twists and turns. It felt like in book one, it was just like nothing could go wrong for Bella or Edward until the very end. I really enjoyed that New Moon was full of everything goes wrong and solution, everything goes wrong again. So it was really great, and I'm looking forward to reading Eclipse and finding out if Bella becomes a vampire like she wants to. I think it must happen eventually, but we'll see. We'll see in Eclipse, or we'll see in Breaking Dawn if not.
What the dog doing?
Hello, I'm back with another reading update for Eclipse, and I'm about like 250 pages in probably. I read a ton when I was babysitting last night after the kid I was babysitting went to sleep, and I gotta say, I don't like Eclipse at all. I feel really uncomfortable with how Stephanie Meyer has chosen to portray this love triangle, in that in New Moon, Bella has made it very clear she's not interested in Jacob and she does not like him romantically. She is really, eyes only for Edward, which is fine. But I felt like she used Jacob as like a best friend to be a crutch through this difficult time in New Moon. And then in Eclipse, Jacob interprets Bella's body language as romantic interest, despite the fact that she has acknowledged that Edward is her boyfriend to the general public. Jacob kisses her without her consent, and I find that horrifying and disgusting. Bella punches him in the mouth, which I appreciate because that is the appropriate response to someone violating your boundaries that you have explicitly communicated when you're not interested. But the way that it is portrayed in the book is that, like, Jacob's still a good guy and you should just accept his apology and there's nothing wrong with it. And I find that disgusting. I really find the way that this book is portraying Jacob in a very weird way. He is being so creepy and so disrespectful of Bella's boundaries. So I'm really not enjoying that. And I'm not enjoying that Stephanie Meyer seems to be trying to encourage us that it's okay when it is not okay. I don't find that acceptable at all. That's how I'm feeling. That being said, I'm hopeful for the rest of the book that Jacob will, maybe lay off and we can just live in happy Edward land. Not that I like love Edward, but at least he's not doing stuff without her consent. And yeah, I'm just feeling ready to finish this series because I'm worried that we're gonna get more of this vibe of like, you know, she's just playing hard to get when no, she has explicitly communicated that she is not interested. We'll see where it goes. I'm hoping to finish it tonight. My boyfriend is going somewhere for work, so I'm dropping him off at the airport and I'll have a lot of alone time after that to just read. So we'll have more updates soon. Hopefully I'll finish Eclipse tonight. Hello, it is so much later, and I have just finished Eclipse. If I look worn and ragged, it is because I feel worn out by this book. The Jacob stuff continued. I felt like the way that Jacob and Bella's relationship, romance, is portrayed is so gross and would not fly in 2025. I know this book was written in like 2006, so whatever. But even then, like, I don't really think that this is appropriate to be showing that this behavior is okay and forgiven in a teen book, a book for young adults. It felt really inappropriate. For context, if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically Bella ends up forgiving Jacob for literally assaulting her and then later on kisses him first and admits that she's in love with him. And that makes no sense to me. I don't think at any point has she expressed that before. She has a deep friendship with Jacob. It's very clear to me the way she feels about Edward and the way she feels about Jacob are differences between a romantic and platonic emotion. I'm really irritated. I'm not feeling happy going into Breaking Dawn, but we're gonna see it through. We're 3 books in, we're gonna get to Breaking Dawn. I'll start tomorrow because I need to get this series done. And I also saw that Breaking Dawn is 600 pages, so I need to get to work on that. Good morning. I have spent the greater part of the morning reading Breaking Dawn before I have to log into work. And the thing that I knew about the Twilight saga / the Twilight series has happened, which is Bella is pregnant and Edward is acting a freak about it. I do not like the way he is treating Bella. His anger issues are a lot and they're very intense. I really just think Bella should not be with Edward or Jacob for that matter. I know Jacob's kind of gone from the series, but really she needs to be alone. She needs to get away from these magical boys because they do not want what's best for her. They don't care. They don't ask her opinion. They really just care about what's best for them. I am going to read more Breaking Dawn today. I am not really looking forward to it because I don't love the pregnancy trope in general. So we'll see how it goes. And we'll see what Edward and Bella get up to. Yay! Hello, it is post work now. I read all morning long before I logged in, and then I also read during my lunch break because I really have been struggling to put it down. Even though I don't like how Edward nor Jacob at this point are acting, the whole premise of A Vampire Baby is so intriguing. And Jacob left his pack and now is like starting his own pack with Seth and Leah, even though he doesn't want to start his own pack. They want to be part of his pack. So I am so engaged. When I was taking my lunch break, Bella literally had her child, like just had her child, and I did not start the next part where we get Bella's perspective back. And I'm so eager to read. I'm gonna read more tonight. Maybe I'll binge read tonight, but I'm planning to finish this either today or tomorrow at this point because it is so difficult to put it down when it is so crazy and off the walls with the plot. Good morning. I read about 400 pages of Breaking Dawn yesterday because things are so crazy that it is difficult to put this series down. I literally feel shock at every single thing that happens. I'm like, I cannot believe that this is how this plot is going. And I was on the phone with my mom this morning, and she has never read Breaking Dawn, but she read the first three Twilight books and then stopped because she was like, this series is too much for me. So I was providing this is what Breaking Dawn is about to her on the phone this morning. And as I was recapping it, I literally could not believe the things that I was saying because this book is so wild and so strange, and everything that happens is really too much. Too much, Stephanie Meyer. It is too much. What has happened thus far? Bella had the baby, but almost died in the process, so then had to be turned into a vampire. Edward has been a weirdo the whole time. Jacob, when the baby came out, imprinted on the baby. I haven't really brought that up so far in the plot because that was never relevant, but that basically means that Jacob is in love with the baby. Not in love right now, but basically, when Renesmee is an adult, her and Jacob will be lovers. Listen, it's kind of weird. Kind of weird. I'm just not gonna discuss that anymore. And Bella is pissed because this is her daughter, and Jacob is now like feeling attached to her daughter. Just everything that happens, I'm like, okay, okay, like, did you just look up, like, what is the wildest outcome that could happen here and just write that? Because everything that happens, I'm like, why is this the plot? It is so alarming how the decisions are made on what the plot line is. Greetings from my lunch break. I hit page 500 in Breaking Dawn, and I'm ready to be done with this book series. I hate all the characters. I hate Bella, I hate Jacob, and I hate Edward. They're so annoying, and the only character I liked left. So my morale is low going into these last 130 pages. I just am so eager to move on to other books and never think about this book series again in my life. Hello, it is the next day, and I am happy to report that I finished Breaking Dawn last night. Yes! Yes! I am so thrilled to be done with the Twilight series. I have been so sick of all the shit that Stephanie Meyer has been pulling. I cannot believe some of the stuff that she is writing in this book. It feels unnecessary and inappropriate. Let's just be honest. Jacob imprinting on the baby was inappropriate. I don't care that he doesn't have romantic feelings for her yet. It was weird and unnecessary to include. Frankly, I was so irritated with this book because I hate Edward, I hate Bella, and I hate Jacob. So there's nothing to like. I found every character insufferable. Edward is a manipulator, Jacob is literally an aggressive assaulter, and Bella is has no personality. And I know that she's not on the same like level as Edward and Jacob in terms of like badness, but she still sucks. I don't love her. And my favorite character, Alice, leaves halfway through the book. And then I was sitting there like, well, there goes everyone I like. The one person I like is gone. So, yeah. I'm feeling really done with the book series. I don't regret reading them because I feel like I can relate to like a cultural mega impact from like the early 2010s. But it did like take years off my lifespan, I think, reading these and feeling the emotions that I felt reading them. I think New Moon was the best by far, followed by probably Eclipse, then Twilight, then Breaking Dawn. I hated Breaking Dawn the whole way through. I don't like a pregnancy plotline to begin with, so I knew I was gonna hate it, but wow, did I hate it. That is the end of reading Twilight. I will watch the movies, and maybe I'll provide a little context of how I feel about those in a later video because I'm not gonna watch them for some time. I need a break. But that is it for the Twilight Saga vlog. If you enjoyed this video, please comment, like, or subscribe. It really helps me out and it helps motivate me to continue suffering for a good video. That is all for me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!